Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Glowhood podcast. It's your girl, Danielle Mame. And today's episode, we're actually going to be getting into finding and walking in your purpose. So now, let's get into it. Okay, so finding and walking in your purpose. So many people, I guess, in our modern society are either walking in their purpose or they're not. You know, it's really that simple, even if it doesn't seem like it is. And the whole inspiration behind this episode actually comes from someone who I used to follow on Twitter. Unfortunately, she passed away a couple years ago. But I just want to read her quote. It's from Jasmine Waters. And her quote says, "You had a purpose before anyone had an opinion. Remember that. And when asked, who do you think you are? Answer, whom I was created to be." Now, think of that as an individual. Everyone was created for a reason. Everyone has certain skills. Everyone has a certain passion. Everyone has different things that they're interested in and different things that drive them as an individual to fulfill them as a person in their life. So as an individual, think to yourself right now, if you're listening to this podcast, do you feel like you are walking in your purpose? If not, try and think of why that is. Is it because A, you're probably too young to even be thinking about that? And truthfully, no one is really that young to find and walk in their purpose. You can literally do it at any age. And the next thing would be, is it because of societal pressure, societal influence? Is it because of family pressure or influence? Do you feel like you are aligned in what you're doing in your everyday life? Is that getting you one step closer to being or walking in your purpose? Is it also something that is fulfilling to you? If the answer is no to any of these questions, then try and take a dive deep into why that is. For some people, they may not know what their purpose is at all. They feel lost. They feel like they don't know what to do. They feel like they don't know where to go. And so in this first segment of this podcast episode, I just want to give you a few tips and see if there's anything that can help you get closer to finding and walking in your purpose. So for me personally, these are all things, anything that I say on this podcast is from my own personal experience. It is not, this is the rule book of how to do this or that. This is just my own experience. And these are tips that I'm giving you that I had to either learn on my own or that I picked up through watching mentors or through following certain people and just being inspired by them. So the first thing with finding your purpose is self-reflection. Self-reflect on who you are as an individual. What makes you happy? What are you most passionate about? If you have a passion to, for example, if you have a passion to sing, is that passion, are you fulfilling that? Are you taking the time to figure out ways on being able to use that talent of yours? If not, then try and find ways that'll help you to do that. Also, connect with your spirit and the creator. And I know that might seem a little out there if you're not religious or if you're unaware of this entire concept, but every human has a spirit. Technically, humans are spirits in bodies. So we're technically more spirit than we are human, but your body is, the vehicle for you to be able to navigate in our three-dimensional world and everything. So connecting more with your spirit and connecting more with the creator will bring you one step closer to finding your purpose. And one thing that I do love to, that'll help make people connect with their spirit a little bit more is, fasting. Even though it seems kind of odd and unrelated, but they're connected. The more you fast, the more closer you are to the spirit, because now you're not just focusing on your physical, on your body. You're focusing more on your spiritual. So on your spiritual body. So in doing that, you're able to connect with yourself. You're able to do a little bit more deeper self-reflection. You're able to get answers that you normally wouldn't. And it seems like it may all not be related, but they are. And I'm sure you can Google it and find different methods on how to do all those things and everything like that. I'm not here to give you like tip by tip, like how to do this and that. I'm just here to give you some guides and some tips to allow you to be able to search deeper. Also, as I already mentioned earlier, what skills and passions resonate with you? If you find something that really resonates with you, that most likely is the frequency of where your purpose is. And again, I know it sounds weird saying frequency and resonance and all that stuff, but if you really think about how the world works, everything is based on frequency. Everything is based on vibrations and all that, even if it doesn't seem like it, just looking at the everyday world. But, I'm sure we've all seen where if you have glass and if a certain frequency hits that glass, the glass explodes, right? That's a frequency. And apparently for that glass, in that particular glass, that frequency was enough for the molecules to then really vibrate to a point where they no longer connected and exploded. So the same could be said for anything. The reason why some people feel so deeply connected to music is because of the frequencies and the different, things that it's connecting to in your spirit. So whatever you find as an individual that you really resonate with, that you're drawn to, and something that should be, healthy for you, not something that's negative, not like a drug addiction or anything like that, but something that does help you and something that could also potentially help others. That most likely is one step closer to getting your purpose and walking in your purpose. And then finally, how can you use whatever your purpose is to help others? Whether that is to help others find their own purpose, or if their purpose is the same as yours, for example, like I keep going to this, is music, how you can help them to become a better musician or whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily obviously need to be music. It could be anything. But those things should all help you get a step closer to finding your purpose. The next thing that I want to get into, and this is, again, something that I'm struggling with, is overcoming the fear of walking in your purpose. So for me, since I was a child, I've always wanted to help others, and I've always wanted to be someone who was a good example in terms of like being able to overcome challenges and still being able to thrive and prosper and all that stuff, right? And in my life, I've had to go through a lot of circumstances that, that should have broken me and that should have honestly killed me, but they didn't. So I thank God for that every day. But in finding your purpose and in finding my purpose, I also developed like a sense of anxiety and fear and wondering and being fearful of what other people would think about me. Wondering, if I would be judged for walking in my true purpose and trying to figure out if that was something that I wanted to do. So, as an individual, I still struggle with it from time to time, but at the same time, you have to look at it this way. If you never fulfilled your purpose, would you live the same quality of life, judgment and all, or, lack of judgment, if you were to have then lived in your purpose with all the judgment and criticisms that would come with it? Do you think you'd be more fulfilled living in your purpose, walking in your purpose, and being able to do whatever you were set out to do, and to be able to make sure that you were able to fulfill your goals, fulfill your dreams, and to live the best life that you were able to create for yourself? Or, would you be living with resentment and regret because you never actually took those things and you never actually filled yourself and to make sure that you were able to walk and live in your purpose? Which one would you rather go for? If you would say the first rather than the latter, then, at that point, you really have to be courageous and just forget about what everyone else would think and just live in your purpose. Achieve your dreams. Go for it. If you feel like, it may cause some judgment, it's all part of the bigger picture. So just make sure that that is something, like if this is truly your purpose and that is the main fear, because I know a lot of us suffer from imposter syndrome, where you feel like you don't deserve that, or you feel like maybe you shouldn't deserve certain things, or you shouldn't be doing certain things because you're talented and you're getting all these accolades, or people are starting to wonder how you got to where you got to. Don't worry about any of the naysayers. Don't worry about any of the people who would be judging you, because you are living in your purpose. They may not be, they may be living in their purpose as well. But as most of us know, those who are quick to judge are usually the people who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing in their own lives. So take that as, that you are a step closer, and that you're also irritating those people in a way that is making them have to reflect on themselves, and they're not ready for it. And you can just move on and continue living and thriving in your purpose. Do not let someone else discourage you from getting the blessings that you're supposed to get from your purpose, because at the end of the day, everyone's purpose has a major blessing behind it. That's why it is so hard to overcome the initial obstacles that are in the way of achieving that, because there's a huge blessing behind that door. You just have to be able to get to the door and open it. And the next thing that we'll get into is finally walking in your purpose. So when you are walking in your purpose, you've been able to overcome your fears. You've been able to first figure out what your purpose was in the first place. Then you will see and you will feel like this is where you were meant to be, and trust that this is exactly where you are meant to be. If you feel like, and I know some people actually have this, where they feel like they're in deja vu, where they're like, oh, this feels familiar. I feel like I've been here before. I should have been here before, or something like that. That's because that's low-key confirmation that this is exactly where you need to be, and you are doing the right thing. You are actually being able to live and walk in your purpose. So don't take that for granted. Be extremely grateful to God, your creator, because it would have worked out a very different way, but it didn't. You were able to find your purpose. You were able to get over any of the anxiety and the judgments and all of those things to be able to finally get to the blessings that you were created for. And not only that, you're able to shine a light on what you're doing to help other people's light also shine. Another thing is also being consistent and focused. So even if you're living and walking in your purpose, it's very easy to get distracted, and it's very easy to let a negative mindset to then just deter you and take you off of your purpose. One thing that I know that I've personally struggled with is, again, lack of consistency and lack of focus. I know I'm not the only one, but those two things are what's going to separate the average person from the greatest person. It's not particularly talent, and it's not even particularly the amount of hours per se. Like, granted, it is hours that you do put in, but there are some people who put in a ton of hours on the front end, and then on the back end, they don't receive the blessings because they were not consistent. So just make sure that you are consistent. Make sure you're focused. If you are surrounded by people who are distracting you, if you're in an environment that is distracting you, that is not allowing you to fully live in your purpose, then try and manage and cope until you're able to get out of that situation, or to remove yourself from those people, so that way you can focus on who you are meant to be. In the last episode, I said, focus on who you wanted to be as an individual and just do it. So now I'm saying, focus on yourself as an individual, and not only just do it, but stay consistent and be focused on doing it. And then the last thing is also seeking guidance. Seek guidance from those who are already doing whatever it is that you are planning to achieve, or that you're striving to be, and see if you can get some mentorship, whether it's from a distance, because you can use anyone really as a mentor. I follow tons of inspirational pages on my Instagram. I use my Instagram as a source of inspiration and motivation, as opposed to using it as a way to being jealous or, being envious of someone else. Because at the end of the day, we're all people. We all have talents. We all have abilities that can create not only blessings for yourself, but can create blessings for your entire community. So just make sure that if you find yourself in that position where you're looking at someone and you're like, oh my gosh, their life is so perfect, they don't have any problems. 9 times out of 10, that's not true. And secondly, it would be much easier just to look at them and say, wow, they were able to come from a horrible situation, or even if they didn't come from a horrible situation, but they were able to make something of themselves to be able to be an inspiration to the point where now someone else is feeling jealous. So take that as a lesson that maybe they're doing something correctly, and try and emulate that in a way that will allow you to achieve your purpose. And at the end of the day, don't forget that you were who you were before anyone had an opinion. As the quote said from Jasmine Waters, who, may her soul rest in peace. That's a very, very potent quote. You had a purpose before anyone had an opinion. So don't let other people's opinions drag you down. Don't let anyone's opinions deter you from achieving your dream. And don't let anyone's opinions make you feel like you're unworthy for all the accolades and the rewards and blessings that you're getting from living in your purpose. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Glowhood podcast. You can find this episode as well as all the other episodes on all major podcast platforms. And I hope to see you in the next one. Oh, and sorry, please follow us on Glowhood Podcast. And you can also go to www.glowhood.com for all live episodes. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Have a great evening or day or whenever you're listening to this. Bye.